Well, hello and welcome. And thank you for your interest in this documentary about Mensa of Northeastern New York, covering the time from 2011 back to 1963 when the group was established. This is segment 1 of the 2010 to 2011 part of the documentary. The documentary actually consists of 2 parts. The part we're going to look at now covers the time from November 2010 through December 2011. The other part covers the time from October 2010 back to December 1963 when the group was established, and we invite you to look at that sometime also. There are a total of 5 segments in this part that covers 2010 and 11. In segment 1 that we're looking at now, we're going to have this introduction and then an overview, a listing of typical events, and a listing of some of the other interests of members. The other 4 segments include topics relating to positions, means of communication, membership numbers. Segment 4 has information about and interviews with members of Mensa of Northeastern New York who also have positions in American Mensa or the Mensa Education and Research Foundation. And segment 5 includes information about the nature and characteristics of American Mensa, the nature and characteristics of the Mensa Education and Research Foundation, a strong focus on the methodology used in the research and documentation of this documentary, gives credits and acknowledgments to the many people who contributed to the research and preparation of the documentary, gives a focus to the heritage of Mensa of Northeastern New York, and includes reflections of the author after having completed the research and preparation of the documentary, and of course, the ending. So let us begin now with a welcoming by President Rob Salkin.
Hi folks, my name is Rob Salkin. I'm the president of Mensa of Northeastern New York. I hold a variety of other positions in Mensa. I'm glad Leo's put together this documentary of our group, and you'll learn a little more about our group with this documentary. You'll hear about all the events that we have. We have Tavern Tuesday, we have a picnic in the park, we have games night, we have all sorts of other things that you'll hear more about. We also have a bunch of different officers you'll hear about. We have an events coordinator, we have a editor, we have a vice president, we have treasurer, we have all sorts of other things, and I hope you'll stick around and hear all about it. Thanks.
With regard to the specifics of the entries, we're going to look first at what and where is Mensa of Northeastern New York. How's it organized? What are some of the typical events? And what are some of the involvements of the members in other things than just the typical events of Mensa? We'll look very closely at the positions and see photographs of some of the incumbents. Of course, communications is important in any organization. But we look also at the members of Mensa of Northeastern New York who also hold positions at the National Mensa, both in American Mensa and in the Mensa Education and Research Foundation. Mensa of Northeastern New York is a part of American Mensa. The group was established in December 1963 and is now a mid-sized group of about 222 members. Its website is www.nymensa.org. At any time, you can check out the current events and characteristics and statistics about the group at that website. The group has hosted some national events, In 2006, it hosted a colloquium that is put on by the Mensa Education and Research Foundation. In 2011, the group hosted the American Mensa Mind Games. Also in 2011, the group hosted for the first time a regional gathering for American Mensa Region 1. The territory of the group is 61 miles east and west and 180 miles north and south. A lot of square miles. A majority of the members do reside in the general region of Albany, Schenectady, Saratoga, Troy. But we do have members throughout the territory, and we do have some area coordinators in different parts of the territory. Well, now we'll go into the section on events. We also want to mention that you just heard some music. As we go into each new section, we're going to hear a little music, and the intention is that this will emphasize that it is a new section, and also to enhance the entry into that section. All the music in this documentary was written by Monica Wilson, a member of Mensa of Northeastern New York, and the music is played by Monica Wilson and her husband, Michael Roche. Well, with respect to events, we're going to see some of the typical types of events in the following slides. But the group is always open to additional types of events and repetition of some of the events that have taken place. And every member at all times is invited to suggest new events or even to host some of them. One of the types of events is called Expanding Tastes. And the host is Tom Milner. And the idea is it would be held on a monthly basis, and it would go to different restaurants in different locations where they have different cuisines, so that the specialty would always be different each month. And this was has gone to a number of different places, including Mexican, German, Indian, and good old American cuisine. One of the events of Mensa of Northeastern New York, held on a monthly basis, is the First Friday Lunch Bunch. Willard Hoyt is the host. It's held in the food court of the County Shopping Center in Albany. How the members identify where the gathering is that a newsletter is put on the table so that as you walk by you can see the Mensa logo and you'll know that is it. There are a whole variety of different kinds of food in the food court, so there's something for everybody. Games Night is another popular event of Mensa of Northeastern New York. It's hosted by John Hornberger. John started this in the group in 2008, hosted it every month since then. He's such a gamer that he even has collected 1,500 games of his own at his home. Also, in addition to hosting the monthly Games Night for Mensa of Northeastern New York, he has attended many of the annual Mind Games events of American Mensa, and even was chair of that group of the Mind Games when it was hosted in Albany. We'll have more on that when he's interviewed. In addition to serving as Games Night host, John has also served as the Money editor for 2 years. Some of the events of Mensa of Northeastern New York are one-time events. This was an example is the family picnic in the park. It was held in August 2011. Tom Milner was the host. This was held in Thatcher State Park and near Albany. It has a beautiful view of the valley. Arrangement was to bring your own. There was some services, including electricity, available. The shelter was reserved for the whole day, although the event was scheduled to start at 2 o'clock. And there were the usual kinds of games available in the park, such as volleyball, horseshoes, water balloon toss, and traditional games and activities for children. It was a family event. Another event, which is very pleasant, are the barbecues that are hosted by Harry and Judy Ringermacher. Harry and Judy have a very nice place. They're able at their home to host one person or 30 or 40 people. There's plenty of room, and they're very good hosts, and I think they really enjoy doing it. Harry and Judy are very active in Mensa of Northeastern New York, and they've also been in other Mensa groups. In fact, they met each other at a Mensa group, and as a result, they got married. So a lot of people enjoy the barbecues that Harry and Judy host. One of the many pleasant events of Mensa of Northeastern New York was the open house hosted by Rob Salkin, the president, on March 11, 2011. And this was intended to be a welcoming for new members and a get-together for other members. Present members were invited to participate. It was organized in such a way that there were games provided and puzzles. And Harry Ringermacher gave a great presentation on astronomy for an hour. It was a self-pay dinner. 30 people attended, including active members, new members, prospective members, and former members. It was a wonderful success, and Rob plans to hold it on a scheduled basis. A very special event of Mensa of Northeastern New York in 2011 was the first ever regional gathering that the group hosted. Rob Salkin, the president of Mensa of Northeastern New York, was the chair. This was a very successful RG. It was held in Albany, New York. There were well over 100 guests, 100 registrants, close to 150. The games were hosted by John Hornberger. David McGregor was in charge of the hospitality. Pamela Smith chaired the program presentations. There were a lot of events that were very good, including a special local tour, and volunteer coordinator was Leo Kellogg. There were many people who said they'd come again. A very interesting event in Mensa of Northeastern New York during 2011 was Shakespeare with Burgers and Tea. This was hosted by Judy Keating. It was held in actually different parts and different days. They first met in Colony and planned out what they would do, and they began discussion of the play Romeo and Juliet. Then they met on the 4th of January and discussed Act 1, the 19th of January and discussed Act 2. In February, they met on the 1st, discussed Act 3. The 17th, they discussed Act 4. And in March, on the 1st, they discussed Act 5. Then on March 8th, they had lunch in Schenectady and went to the Proctor's Theater and saw Romeo and Juliet on the big screen. Separate from that, in August, there was an event also hosted by Judy. It was called Shakespeare and Tea event. And they met in Cobleskill, had refreshments and wine tasting. And then they heard a speaker, Barbara Klein, who had studied Shakespeare. And she spoke with them and shared her knowledge. Barbara Klein was not a member of Mensa, but she knew a lot about Shakespeare. One of the continuing events of Mensa of Northeastern New York is called Tavern Tuesday. It's hosted by David McGregor, and it's held every Tuesday in Colony at the O'Toole's Tavern. It's called a restaurant and a pub. And it's always scheduled at the same time, 6 o'clock, and the same day of the week, every week at the same place. And anybody can come and just join in the conversation and can have something to eat if you'd like, a meal or a snack or whatnot, or not anything if you'd rather not eat. You can just sit there and visit. Now, about a dozen people or so attend. Sometimes wives come, occasionally some younger people, and everybody has a good time just talking and eating. On December 17, 2011, Rob Salkin hosted what was billed as the first annual Winter Solstice Party. It was held in Albany. There was a complimentary light dinner, and those wishing to stay overnight were able to at the hotel. An invitation was sent by postcard to all members of Mensa of Northeastern New York, and Rob, the host, set the motto for the event to be, "Come as you are and leave with new friends." Rob estimates that close to 50 people attended this event, had a great time, and that more people attended this winter solstice party than any other event of Mensa of Northeastern New York ever. In March 2011, another interesting event was jointly put on by Vermont Mensa and Mensa of Northeastern New York. And it was chaired by Blakely Bartlett, who was the local secretary of Vermont Mensa. Quite often, members of Mensa of Northeastern New York attend Vermont Mensa events, and pretty often Vermont Mensa members attend events of Mensa of Northeastern New York. And sometimes, such as this particular event in March 2011, the two Mensa groups jointly sponsor the event. This was a dinner and bluegrass concert. It was held in Chester, Vermont. It was part of a series of concerts, a Green Mountain Festival series. That was they had a silent auction for the benefit of that series. The full information about Vermont Mensa is available on their website, which is vermontmensa.org. An interesting event in December 2010 was a joint event put on by Mensa Montreal and Mensa of Northeastern New York. It was chaired by Victor O'Valley, who is area coordinator for Mensa of Northeastern New York in the Plattsburgh area. And it was to attend a reenactment to commemorate the American Winter Encampment between 1812 and 1813 in that area. The reenactors were prepared by the Battle of Plattsburgh Association, which has an annual commemoration. And it had the demonstration of a black powder musket, and there was a guided tour of the museum. And then after that, they went to a local restaurant and had a dinner. Sometimes, other than this event, the Montreal Mensa group members attend, as well as Vermont Mensa members attend when Mensa of Northeastern New York has an event in that area. In addition to attending Mensa events, some members have other interests. For example, some are entrepreneurs. Some are involved with the arts or entertainment, and some are in special interest groups. Well, let's take a look at some examples. One member of Mensa of Northeastern New York who has other interests is Neil Truax. Neil is an entrepreneur. He's part of the family-owned Jewelry Repair Center in the town of Schodack, not far from downtown Albany. This is a business that sells new jewelry and also repairs jewelry. It's a long-term business, and the employees are very proud. They're happy to be in there. They consider it a shop with a personal touch, real good customer service orientation. And they say that the customers come there. It's like an old-fashioned shop where they talk with the owners, enjoy the conversation as well as the products, and they keep coming back. Neil is very proud of this business and hopes to continue it for many years. Another example of one of our members who is an entrepreneur is James Burton. James has 2 law offices and covers a wide spectrum of various legal matters, all the way from wills and estates, healthcare, proxies, and all the way to criminal law. In addition to the business, Jim is a contributing member of our Mensa group. One of the major things that he did was to conduct an art show. And this was very well attended, about 20 people. And this was the only art show that has been hosted in Mensa of Northeastern New York. Monica Wilson is a musician, and she's also a member of Mensa of Northeastern New York. She composes and teaches music for her full-time job. She's a teacher at the Empire State Youth Orchestra based in Schenectady. She has a strong background in music and was employed even at the Juilliard School of Music in New York City. She and her husband play music together, separate from her work, and they play a whole variety of genre of music. And Monica and her husband Michael are proud parents of 2 children, Peyton and Avery, and Peyton became a Mensan when she was only 3 years old, and she's 7 years now. And Monica is the one who wrote the music that is used in the 2 multimedia presentations that form part of this documentary. Jim Blodgett, a member of Mensa of Northeastern New York, is coordinator of a special interest group. He started the special interest group on global risk. The objective is to evaluate the risks of human extinction and develop ideas for reducing those risks. He has spoken at an American Mensa annual gathering on this topic. He has a website, www.risk-evaluation-forum.org. He invites everyone to visit that website. Also, if you wish to communicate directly with him, he has an email, which is email@global-risk-sig.org. Some of the risks about which he has drawn attention are runaway artificial intelligence, black holes or strangelets at particle accelerator colliders, runaway global warming, and global nuclear war. And he would especially welcome any communication that you would have with respect to reducing those risks. Another special interest group in which members of Mensa of Northeastern New York participate is the Astronomy and Astrophysics Special Interest Group. Ron Fleshman is a member of Mensa of Northeastern New York who participates in this special interest group. The purpose is for various members to communicate with others and to express their opinion. Of course, as in any group, there's a variety of opinions. Anyone can belong to this group, and some have a great deal of knowledge about either astronomy, astrophysics, and some have less, but they all have the interest in discussing the various topics. And everyone is eligible and invited to participate in the group. There are many other interest groups represented and participated in by members of Mensa of Northeastern New York. And these are two good examples that we've just discussed. Well, this documentary about Mensa of Northeastern New York was prepared by Leo A. Kellogg, who was the first ever historian of Mensa of Northeastern New York. The documentary is copyrighted for and by Mensa of Northeastern New York, and all rights are reserved. Well, here's a listing of all of the segments of the November 2010 through December 2011 part of the documentary about Mensa of Northeastern New York. When you're done looking at this summary, just go ahead and shut off your video. And we thank you for your interest in this documentary about Mensa of Northeastern New York. And 11. The other part covers the time from October 2010 back to December 1963 when the group was established, and we invite you to look at that sometime also. There are a total of 5 segments in this part that covers 2010 and 11. In segment 1 that we're looking at now, we're going to have this introduction and then an overview, a listing of typical events, and a listing of some of the other interests of members. The other 4 segments include topics. Terry gives credits and acknowledgments to the many people who contributed to the research and preparation of the documentary, gives a focus to the heritage of Mensa of Northeastern New York, and includes reflections of the author after having completed the research and preparation of the documentary, and of course, the ending. So let us begin now with a welcoming by President Rob Salkin.
Hi folks, my name is Rob Salkin. I'm the president of Mensa of Northeastern New York. I hold a variety of other positions in Mensa. I'm glad Leo's put together this documentary of our group, and you'll learn a little more about our group with this documentary. You'll hear about all the events that we have. We have Tavern Tuesday, we have a picnic in the park, we have games night, we have all sorts of other things that you'll hear more about. We also have a bunch of different officers you'll hear about. We have an events coordinator, we have a editor, we have a vice president, we have treasurer, we have all sorts of other things, and I hope you'll stick around and hear all about it. Thanks.
With regard to the specifics of the entries relating to positions, means of communication, membership numbers, Segment 4 has information about and interviews with members of Mensa of Northeastern New York who also have positions in American Mensa or the Mensa Education and Research Foundation. And Segment 5 includes information about the nature and characteristics of American Mensa, the nature and characteristics of the Mensa Education and Research Foundation, a strong focus on the methodology used in the research and documentation of this document. Well, hello and welcome, and thank you for your interest in this documentary about Mensa of Northeastern New York, covering the time from 2011 back to 1963 when the group was established. This is segment 1 of the 2010 to 2011 part of the documentary. The documentary actually consists of 2 parts. The part we're going to look at now covers the time from November 2010 through December 2011.